Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and today is the video I have been looking forward to recording and sharing with you guys so much all week because it is my team selection video, my transfers video, my captains video, everything about my team, but more importantly, my scores from game week 2. And guys, if you've already read the video title, seen the thumbnail, whatever, you will well know that we are right now ranked very, very, very highly in the world. It's incredible. We're off to a flying start. You know, one of the best in the world's possible starts, really, and that you could possibly ask for. So we're going to talk about my team from Game Week 2 in a minute. Then we're going to move on to my Game Week 3 plans, transfers, captain, etc., etc., etc. But first of all, if I could ask you guys to like the video if you're enjoying the content so far this season, that would be massively appreciated. Really helps the channel. And I know a lot of you guys watching this video are not subscribed. I know about 60% of you not subscribed yet. Guys, I'm trying to get 100,000 subscribers. So if you want to follow along with my team every single game week, I'll be posting my final team before the deadline every single week, so you can see what I'm up to within the world of FPL. Do subscribe so you don't miss a thing, guys. That's pretty much it on that one. But before we do start my my video of my Game Week 2 scores, this video is of course sponsored once again by OneFootball, the key sponsors of this channel right now, really, aren't they? So OneFootball is a great app/website where you have access to lineups for the games. You have access to stats from the games, everything. So when you are waiting for the game to start an hour before the kickoff, you want an app on your phone. You bring it up. You want to see who's starting. Are your players starting? Your FPL players starting? And then if you can't watch the game, you want to see the stats. Who's taken the most shots? Who's got the most possession? Who is doing well? What are the final scores? OneFootball has you covered in every single regard in that respect. And there's also kind of football news, transfer rumours, all kinds of stuff on the app as well. So it's so good. Definitely worth checking out. Completely free. And you can find a link in the description. There you go. So here it is. Here is the Game Week 2 points total. 87 points. An incredible score for the second game week in a row, bringing my old rank of 14,000 all the way up to 4,291. We are off to a flying start. 202 total points. Guys, what is so incredible about this rank? And I know you're probably thinking, oh, well, there's still a few thousand people above you, Dan. Like, don't get too carried away. And it is obviously early season as well. But what is so incredible about this rank this early is that every single person, well, most people, sort of 9 out of 10 of the people around me, around this rank, have used chips. They've already used their triple captain. They've already used their bench boost. And they've had to use these chips in order to achieve these ranks because, you know, these chips give you so many extra points. They sort of give you an average of 10, 20 extra points when you use them. So if you account for that and the rank that we've got right now, really, as games go by, as game weeks go by, we get further and further into the season, these people who are around my rank because they've used these chips, they can't keep using chips. They only have a certain amount of chips. And eventually they'll start to tail off. I've still got my chips, so I can keep moving up. So it's a really good start. The team that I've picked in the initial Game Week 1 has performed absolutely incredibly. If we're talking specifically about Game Week 2, obviously Trent, Tsimikas, amazing, you know, assists and clean sheets, brilliant. Sanchez getting his first clean sheet of the season, sure, playing really well. I know he didn't keep the clean sheet, but he did enough to get the 2 bonus points with his sort of creativity, creating big chance there. Salah, Fernandes, the captain, guys, did not perform this week. A little bit disappointed. I'm sure you guys are disappointed if you captain one of Salah and Fernandes as well. Congratulations if you managed to captain someone else who did score a few more points, of course. Greenwood smashing it again. Benrahma and Antonio, the absolute god kings of the Premier League right now. Wow, they're just incredible right now, and their fixtures are getting better and better as well. So this is going to be really good for both of them. Danny Ings scored a goal, an amazing goal at that as well. Maybe, you know, on another day he maybe takes a penalty instead of El Ghazi if El Ghazi's not on the pitch, so he could have potentially had another goal in a different scenario if El Ghazi wasn't on the pitch. Wilson, you're probably looking at thinking, okay, yeah, Wilson was a big disappointment in your team, Dan. He only got 1 point, but the way you got to play FPL, or you should play FPL, is not just look at the points, but look at the performances. Because that kind of helps you decide who should you keep in your team, who you should remove from your team. If the performances are bad and the points are bad, okay, yeah, fair enough. Maybe this player should be removed from your team. But with Wilson, we kind of had we had a situation where he's missed. Well, you know, he's missed a sitter, really, hasn't he? So yeah, on another day, Wilson, scores that goal. 9 out of 10 times he scores that goal. He got a yellow card in the first half as well. He's not going to be getting yellow card every game. And then there was the offside thing as well. So, yeah, basically, on another day, Wilson scoring a couple of goals in that game, and for that reason, I'm not worrying about him. I'm disappointed with the points total, but I'm not worried. He's still a player who is performing, he's doing well, and he is going to score some points in some upcoming fixtures. But anyway, speaking of upcoming fixtures, let's line up my team for Game Week 3. So we've got 2 free transfers, so we have to use one. Use them or lose them. We've got 0.5 in the bank, but how are we going to deal with the situation? Who are we going to... When your team's performing this well, who do you transfer out? Well, let's go through it, guys. So in goal, we have got Sanchez still. He's not going anywhere. I'm not a big fan of transferring goalkeepers, of course, and I've only got a bench, kind of 4 million goalkeeper on the bench anyway, so he's not going anywhere. Sanchez got his first clean sheet, of course. We do expect the Brighton to keep a few clean sheets this season. They've got Everton next, which, I don't know, this is going to be a kind of a tricky one. I do think that there is a lot of potential for Brighton to keep a clean sheet against Everton, because when we're thinking about Everton, the aerial ability of DCL, that's going to be countered quite well by players like Dunk and Duffy, who are, good aerial presences to maybe able to essentially bully DCL out of the game as good as DCL is. Definitely there's potential for a clean sheet here, but it's not an ideal game. Thankfully it's at home, but there are some really nice fixtures coming up for Brighton, and we do expect some clean sheets from our goalkeeper in the long term. Moving on into defence, we've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's not going anywhere. I know this game against Chelsea is kind of tough, but Chelsea have typically not been a free scoring team over the last season, particularly under the Tuchel era. Is that going to change with Lukaku in the team? Maybe. I don't know if Lukaku is necessarily a big game player. I don't know if he's going to score a lot of goals against some of the tougher defences. Van Dijk and Lukaku is obviously going to be a huge battle, but I do think there is still potential for a clean sheet here. So I'm certainly not thinking of panic transferring out Trent Alexander-Arnold, because, like I said, there could easily be a clean sheet here. And then we've got Leeds, Crystal Palace, Brentford after that. Lovely fixtures indeed. We've got Luke Shaw here, who has been a little bit disappointing so far this season, in the sense that, no clean sheets yet, no goal returns, no assists, no goals from Luke Shaw yet. We perhaps expected a little bit more at 5.5 million, didn't we? But Wolves, very nice fixture from a defensive point of view. I do think Wolves could maybe be a little bit tricky for the attackers, but so far Wolves haven't scored any goals so far this season. Jimenez maybe not 100% up to speed yet. Adama Traore, who has been their main goal threat, potentially leaving for Spurs. I don't know exactly what the situation, how it's going to end up there. Maybe the deal's looking off. I don't know. But certainly we've got an unsettled player there who has been their biggest threat so far this season. So we'll see. But in terms of clean sheets, this is a very good fixture. I don't know about attacking returns, but certainly Luke Shaw, if he can be creative, he might be able to nick some bonus points again as well. And we're going to finish off the defence with Ayling. Now, Ayling making his first start for the FPL Mate team this season. He's been on my bench for the Game Week 1 and Game Week 2, but this is the time where I want to bring him into my first 11, because this fixture against Burnley is very nice. We kind of see that Burnley are providing some of the least goal threat of any team in the Premier League so far, I would probably say. And we've kind of got a Leeds defence who maybe they've been a little bit disappointing so far this season, but they did show a lot of promise at the end of last season. So I do think they can pick it up. And of course, Ayling's already scored a goal this season. He unfortunately wasn't on my particular pitch when he did score that goal, but we do know he does carry a little bit of attacking threat as well, which is really nice. So nice game against Burnley. Liverpool game next. Going to be kind of tricky. Nice game against Newcastle. There's a couple of nice fixtures here that I really like for Ayling. Moving on into midfield, we've got Salah, the legend himself. Again, a player who's not going anywhere. I know a lot of people will say, well, Salah's playing Chelsea. He's not going to get a goal there, is he? That's fair enough. And maybe this week he might not get a return, but in the big games, the big players do perform, right? So a player like Salah is as good as he is because he can score against anyone. And if you're going to look at Chelsea and you say, oh, Chelsea, they're unbeatable, right? No one's scoring goals against Chelsea. No one's getting past that defence, right? If there is any player who is going to break that defence, who are you going to say? You're going to say players like Salah. You're going to say players like Kane. Big players who have that insane ability, the incredible finishing ability to score from half chances and create something out of nowhere. These are the kind of players that score in your big game. So although I definitely agree with you. I'm not looking to captain Salah or anything like that in this game week, but I don't think that just because there's one very bad fixture that this is going to mean Salah is going to be useless in this game, because I don't think he's ever going to be useless in any fixture that he plays in, to be honest. And there's no there's no fixture really that I will say, yeah, Salah is going to be terrible this game, really. And of course, the great fixtures coming up as well. Salah is a great pick to have. I don't think he should be moved from anyone's team unless you really, really are desperate to get rid of him for whatever reason. He's staying in my team. We've got Bruno Fernandes. Wolves, again, I kind of said before, Wolves kind of looked a little bit stubborn, a little bit tricky so far this season. They only, conceded an early penalty goal against Spurs and looked pretty good, and perhaps a little bit unlucky to lose 1-0 against Leicester in the first game as well. So yeah, maybe Wolves are not quite as bad as we thought. Obviously, their new manager, Lager, it seems to be doing okay. I know there's 2 losses so far, but they're 2 marginal 1-0 losses that you could perhaps say they were a little bit lucky in. So I think Wolves are actually going to be a little bit of a stubborn team, particularly against some of the bigger teams this season. So yeah, I'm not fully convinced by Fernandes and how much he can do in this game. But if anyone's doing something in this game for Manchester United, it is going to be Fernandes, isn't it? At the end of the day, and if it's not Fernandes, who else is it going to be? It's going to be Mason Greenwood. Our next pick is going to be one of these two. These two guys, because these are providing the big attacking threat right now. You can arguably put Pogba in the mix if we're talking about assists as well. But this is the pair really that are going to be accumulating those points for Manchester United. So if you think Manchester United are going to beat Wolves, and I think there's a strong argument to say, yeah, okay, Manchester United are probably going to beat Wolves, maybe a 1-0, maybe a 2-0, or maybe a 2-1, something like that. Then it's going to be Greenwood, it's going to be Fernandes who are involved in those games. I'm just saying that I don't think this is going to be a cricket score. We're not really expecting Manchester United to go there and win 3-4-0 or anything like that. We're not expecting a huge amount of goals like that or an insane performance like that. But you never know. You never know with players of this quality, do you? And that's why we put them in our fantasy teams. And then we're going to wrap up the midfield here with Benrahma, who has been an absolute legend of fantasy so far this season, right? 6 million he started this season at. An incredible pre-season convinced me to put him in my Game Week 1 team because I just feel like he's such a magical player. He just needed that run of, a little bit of game time, giving him that confidence boost to be prioritised, to become the focal point of that West Ham team, and that's exactly what he's become since he's, not just in the friendlies, but since he's actually been playing in the Premier League. He's become that focal point in many ways, a talisman in many ways in that West Ham attack. And I enjoy West Ham so much. They're quickly becoming one of my favourite teams in the Premier League to watch because there's just such attacking energy and passion and charging up the pitch, and they really want to score goals, and they have the players and the ability and the skill to do it as well. So 6.2 million now, Benrahma, absolute steal. Game against Crystal Palace, which is an incredible fixture as well. Crystal Palace been one of the weaker defences so far this season. I know they kept a clean sheet last game, you'll say, but when we look at the underlying stats, they look pretty. They could concede a few goals, right? And West Ham look like they can score a few goals. That's a good combo, right? When we're picking fantasy players, that's a very good combo. So that's very nice. Moving up front, we've got Danny Ings on his potential last game for the FPL Mate team at BSKA Moscow. Brentford is a good fixture. I still believe that. I know a lot of people have said, well, Brentford has scored, kept 2 clean sheets so far. I don't think they're going to be able to sustain that. And Danny Ings has been on to a very, very good start. He's a very special goal last game, of course. And he's a goal a game so far. He's a goal a game so far. So yeah, Danny Ings is going to be a really good pick for this game week. I'm sure most people will agree. I know it's an away game. Aston Villa kind of redeemed themselves last game with a decent performance against Newcastle. So yeah, Danny Ings against Brentford, I think we're looking at a goal at least in this game, right? And we're going to continue to fly in that regard. And then potentially when we look at Chelsea, Everton, Manchester United, it's not a great run of fixtures for Ings, is it? So we are going to be thinking about moving him on to a Dominic Calvert-Lewin, if I'm completely honest with you guys. We've got Antonio next, Crystal Palace at home. If we talk about Benrahma being fantastic, how good has Antonio been? Probably the standout performer of the Premier League so far. You'll probably say across the 2 games, right? He's actually accumulated more expected goals than any other player in the league. You kind of hope so with the amount of goals he's scored already. But he's also accumulated more expected goals than 12 of the 20 teams in the Premier League so far, him alone. So he is on incredible flying goal scoring form. It is really, really good to see. And then we finally got Wilson. Like I said about Wilson, unlucky to get a few more points, to not get a few more points last week. He could have been on for a really good score, and he is my differential in many ways of the team. I think the game against Southampton at home is a really good fixture. It's in James's Park. I like it a lot, and I will be more than willing to keep Wilson in for this game because I just think he can do some business there. He's such a good striker, he's such a good forward. I really rate him so highly. So yeah, he's going to be the difference maker hopefully this game week in my team, because I know a lot of the rest of my team is pretty template, pretty standard. A lot of people own these players, so hopefully Wilson can be that difference, that cutting edge, if you like, for me this game week. Onto the bench very quickly. We've got Steele, backup goalkeeper. We've got Tsimikas, we've got Brownhill, and we've got Omobamidele as well there. Tsimikas is not going to be playing this game week. I'm sure a few of you guys will probably know this already, but I will reiterate it anyway. Robertson is going to come back into the Liverpool team and replace Tsimikas at left back. We kind of know this. We're pretty confident about this at this point. And if it doesn't happen this week, it's going to happen the week after anyway. So this game against Chelsea, it's not an ideal fixture for a defender. So yes, they could keep a clean sheet, but when you factor in, is Tsimikas going to play? Then is Chelsea going to score no goals against Liverpool? And you start adding up these odds, it's kind of like, yeah, Tsimikas is just not the one this week, right? Potentially not the one for the rest of the season. So, guys, he is going to be my transfer out because, you know, like, looking at my team, I'm in quite a luxury position where every one of my players is performing. Every one of my players I want for this game week. You know, with the exception of Fernandes and Greenwood, everyone's got obviously Salah and Trent Alexander-Arnold, but they're kind of season keepers anyway. But Fernandes and Greenwood, who I would potentially consider moving on at some point this season, whereas Trent and Salah I wouldn't. Those are the only two players who I guess don't have the most amazing fixture I'm really confident in this week. But they have Newcastle after that. So they're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. They're going to stay up. There's no one I want to remove. I'm sure you guys will look at this team and you also say, yeah, I can see, Dan, what you're saying. There's no one you would really want to move from this team. So we're going to make the transfer. Tsimikas out. It's a luxury transfer. We're going to move him to Shane Duffy. Yes, Shane Duffy, the 4.1 million Brighton defender who has been playing incredibly so far this season. I just think he's 2 man of the match performances, or I don't know, depending on what broadcaster you watched, you might have seen that Basuma got man of the match in the second game week. But certainly in terms of, if you go on any player ratings website, you'll see Duffy at the top of the list of all players in each of the first 2 games. He's playing really well. Hopefully he's played his way into the team, particularly in the short term. And that's what I'm looking for, because we're going to be wildcarding probably around game week 7 anyway, probably. I don't want to say definitely, but probably we're going to be wildcarding. So Tsimikas to Duffy. The reason I'm going for Duffy rather than a Livramento or a Brandon Williams, for example, is because of Luke Ayling. If you look at Luke Ayling's fixtures, you can see that in game week 4, he plays Liverpool, and in game week 6, he plays West Ham. Now, I know you can't see Duffy on Duffy's fixtures because he's on the bench right now, but if you look at Sanchez's fixtures, the other Brighton player, I guess, you'll see that in game week 4, they have Brentford, and in game week 6, they have Crystal Palace. So that would allow me, provided that Duffy stays in the team, and that is the risk that I'm taking here. You've got to take a few risks when you're playing FPL, but this is the risk that I'm taking here, is that Duffy is going to be able to cover Ayling in game week 4 and game week 6. I can just take out Ayling for those 2 game weeks and then put in Duffy, who has far better fixtures, for a good defensive team as well, and he's going to get me some FPL points there. That's what I'm going for. And if it doesn't work out, I've got a 4.1 million player on my bench. That's no problem, really. The downside is really not that big of a deal, particularly when I've not really got any other transfers that I need to make right now. It allows me to keep 2 free transfers and keep them for next game week as well. Over the international break, maybe there's the odd injury or something like that. I keep those 2 free transfers in the bank for next game week. Everything's good. Just made one very, very simple switch that could prove to be a little bit of a differential in many ways if I can rotate him with Ayling effectively. So that's the idea. Don't know how well it's going to come off. I do want to take the occasional risk with my team, because that's how you make your way to the very top. You can't make it to the very top without taking any risk whatsoever, I don't think. And so that is my calculated risk of the game week. On captains, guys, I am going to go for Antonio for this game week. He is playing like a premium, so I'm going to treat him like a premium. He's the player of the season so far. Absolutely incredible. Or maybe Ben Rama, you would say, is potentially player of the month or whatever. So far. But Antonio, what incredible form that he's showing. If he can keep that up against his best fixture yet, arguably against Crystal Palace, maybe you say Newcastle was a more favourable fixture, but if he keeps it up against Crystal Palace, which I really truly believe he can, then we're going to be on for another really nice score. And when I'm looking at the other captain options, you know, we're maybe looking at Fernandes, who I'm not fully convinced by the fixture. I know he can do it, but not fully convinced by that. We could look at Ings, we could look at Wilson. You know, they are showing some promising signs, but not as many promising signs as Antonio. We've got kind of Benrahma, who is also playing really well. I do really rate him. But I don't know, there's something about looking at that 6.2 million price that tells me, no, you can't captain him. You can't captain him. So we are going to be with Antonio. Bruno Fernandes with the vice captain as well, because Bruno Fernandes is a nice little safety pick there if everything goes completely wrong with Antonio when he can't play for whatever reason. So there we go. That is pretty much my team for game week 3. I think it's looking pretty good, and I'm hoping that maybe we can move into the top 2,000 next game week. Just have a 1 at the start of that rank at 4 digits. That would be pretty nice. And then eventually we'll try and move into the top 1,000. But here we go, guys. That's the team. Hopefully that is a good team for you guys as well. Let me know what you think of it, of course. Thanks very much for watching, guys, today. If you did enjoy what you saw today, if you're enjoying the journey so far, please do leave a like on the video. It's massively appreciated. Please do subscribe if you are new around here and you want to keep up on these team selection videos every single week. Got loads of other FPL content as well there if you want to go check that out, guys. Looking at 100 experts and what they're doing with their transfer moves this week. You can go check that out. We've got a buy, sell, keep, avoid video for this week as well. So yeah, loads of stuff on the channel. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it. Hopefully new guys as well, you're going to enjoy it as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you on the next one. See you later, mates. Bye bye.